Hey, because of our new reality of living in and dealing with this COVID-19, this coronavirus, the world as we know it has just changed so much. It's filled with tons of anxiety and stress and all these bombarding messages, even a lot of fear, perhaps in you and the people that we're serving. That's why I want to come to you every day. I can't promise every day, but most every day with kind of a daily dose of hope. What I'm going to offer you by video is just a short dose of kind of a devotional or reflection thought, and just to remind each of us that our God is so much bigger than all the chaos going on in our world today. So today I want to tell you a familiar story. I think I might have used this with a couple of you before, but it offers so much perspective and hope that I think it's worth sharing again. On July the 6th of 2013, this courageous Canadian woman named Melina Paquette set out on quite an adventure. She wanted to be the first North American to row from Canada all the way to France across the North Atlantic. She was to make this journey in a 23-foot tailor-made rowboat that looked a lot more like a canoe with a canopy over it. She finished her journey in 129 days, a little under 4 months at sea, passing over the resting place of the Titanic in the Northern Sea. On day 83, Melina was just slammed by this massive tropical storm Umberto. The storm was so fierce that it severely damaged her vessel and she lost most of her supplies. It left her less than halfway completing her journey. It left her stranded on the open sea. This tough young gal began to lose hope. She did three things. She prayed, she sent out a mayday signal, and then thirdly, she radioed her crew back in Canada that unless an old-fashioned miracle took place, then this was not going to end well. Maybe you've been in a situation like that where you sense that this is just not going to end well. Barring some miraculous intervention, this is just going to be lights out for you. I would have to acknowledge I've had a couple of those times in my life, and I just desperately need God to do something to help me. The fallout of this coronavirus is affecting each of us so much, either you personally or the people that we're serving. It leaves them feeling uncertain and anxious and maybe even a little bit fearful. Well, like Melina, we desperately need God to do something. Well, nothing surprises God. Not even this young 30-year-old gal laying on the bottom of her rowboat in the middle of the North Atlantic, or any of you dealing with the crisis of what's happening in our culture today. None of it surprises God. God had quite a surprise in mind for Melina as she reached out to him for help. The Queen Mary II is one of the largest cruise vessels ever built. This 23-story ship that takes continual 7-day transatlantic tours from Britain all the way to the United States. Doesn't stop at all those beach bars along the way, just back and forth is all it does. It basically is full of 80-year-old Brits just eating and napping and drooling. Well, the captain of the Queen Mary II heard the Mayday call sent out by Melina Paquette, and honoring good nautical etiquette, he decided that he would respond. He radioed back to her that help is on its way. So he chartered a new course to come to the aid of this one person in crisis. A few hours later, this 23-story behemoth pulls up alongside this 23-foot rowboat, and it blasts this ear-deafening greeting. The 2,300 passengers and 1,200 crew on board, they were on deck just cheering wildly. Well, the Queen Mary II gave Melina everything that she needed. They provided all of the equipment she had lost and resupplied her, and then some, from the immense resources and reserves of this gigantic vessel. As the boat began to pull away, the 3,500 crew and passengers did this ear-deafening hip hip hooray, hip hip hooray, hip hip hooray. She posted on Facebook about a peace that overwhelmed her and replaced her anxiety. With the much-needed help, she was then able to finish her journey. At times, life just doesn't make sense to us. Surprises occur, shocks happen, insanities come about that just rock our world. You're feeling that with this COVID-19 virus, so are our patients and their families and the people we serve. There's a verse of scripture that just has been rattling around in my mind all morning that I couldn't get away from. Is simply this: God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble. He is our refuge, our strength, and ever-present help in trouble. Where do you find yourself in this story? Maybe you're like Melina, you're feeling overwhelmed just at the end of your resources. Maybe you see yourself more as one of the passengers on the boat looking out at someone who is overwhelmed and in need of help. Whatever situation you find yourself in today, this verse has relevance for you. God is your refuge. God is your strength. God is your ever-present help in trouble. Melina Paquette's going to have a great story to tell people for the rest of her life. But the truth is, I have hundreds, if not thousands, of rescue stories to tell people. They're of a God who came alongside us at a point of desperate need, and from his immense resources, time after time, provided help. God is our refuge. He's our strength. He's an ever-present help in times of trouble.